What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Travis. I'm stepping on stuff. This is TWA Motorsports, and today we are back on the progress, I guess you could call, where we let off on the dually. Cohen's over there working on his Corvette, doing some stuff on it. Look, I told you guys in the last video there was another thing I wanted to do here, and that's a fog light wiring. That is what I was thinking about, because it is so much easier to access this stuff with the bumpers off than it is to try to route that crap through there with the bumpers on. Now, we've got a lot to do because we have to put some pins in the actual computer to run the electric fans, which I have over there. We're gonna have to make our own adapter here for this guy to make the fog lights work. We're also gonna have to have a relay. And so you're probably sitting here wondering, well, what happened to the box that this sets in? Well, guys, I actually took that thing out because it was so filthy, and I haven't even started cleaning. You could see all the junk that was underneath it. I'm gonna vacuum that out, get a good cleaning on this area here, clean up that box, and then set it back into place. But normally you could just flip up the box. The area that we're gonna need to get to is in this green pin here, or this green block. It's a 7mm, which we'll get to later on in this video. We need to add a wire to this in order to run the fog lights. So our ground will actually be down here. Our power will be up here. This thing is pretty much pre-wired for fog lights. The only things you need are the wire from the box to the lights, and you need a new switch, which I already have. I don't know what video you're gonna see that in, but let's get started. I'm gonna clean this stuff off camera and clean the box off camera. I'll get it back in place. It's only 410mm, by the way, guys, just to get that box out. If you flip this up, undo some of the like wire holders here, you can get that thing out of the way so you can get the box out if you want to clean, or you're kind of OCD like me. Let's get that done and then we'll move on. Now that we've got some cleaning done, got that box back in, did, you know, an okay job, I feel like. Anyway, we need to grab our new harness for the fans. We're gonna start with that. And that is this guy here. So remember, like I said, there's a guy on eBay that randomly goes out, scavenges these, and puts them together. That's what we've got right here. So you can see we've got the two leads that plug in the fan, we have a ground, and we have the factory piece that goes in here. So guys, this guy goes back here in this corner, and we've got to have this box up in order to put this in place. You can see it snaps right down in like this. Now, here's what you don't get. If one of these relays or these fuses ever go bad, you're gonna have to pull this entire box off, which means taking the 13mm and whatnot out. There is a separate box that has an opening there. So if you really want it to look factory, you're gonna have to get that. I generally don't. These wires here, we're gonna have to pin into the computer, which we'll do that here in a little bit. I think I'll have to extend those. I had to last time anyway. There's a couple different connections. Haven't got quite back on yet. I need to clean that up too. So this hooks into the side of the factory box, like such. Okay, and then this one, doesn't really matter which one hooks where, I guess. It just depends on which one. Probably should have hooked that one on the bottom. All right, I'm gonna unplug that one, move that one around, hook it on the bottom. And that's pretty much it. Other than the programming phase. Obviously, guys, we got to go up to the power here, and then we've got to pin the computer, which I'll show you here in a little bit. But let me get this routed differently. Now I've got that set in there. You guys saw me do that. Ran the wire out here, went under the computer. See right there under the computer, the nice new black loom. It's over the steering box, but I went underneath the transcooler lines and up to where they plug in. Direct plug in, comes with a clip to clip it in the middle of the fans to hold it. We've got a ground wire that you can see down there on the ground. I don't know if you guys can see that at the very bottom. It's on the ground laying over my air hose. We're gonna tie some stuff up as we get a little further in the process here. But now that we got that kind of situated, we're gonna move on to our fog lights. Okay, remember we got to add a pin, so I'm gonna go grab my 7mm and we're gonna pull this guy out next. Kind of hard to pull out. I keep kind of tugging on it while I'm loosening that 7mm, and then put a flat blade in here and kind of pry it out, because there are little clips here on the side. But we need to add a wire for the fog lights, and where we're gonna add that wire is, if you're looking at this flipped up, it is the 1, 2, 3rd spot right there. That is where we need to add that wire. And if you'll look, it correlates with where a relay would normally be right here. Okay, we're obviously gonna have to get a relay, but we can't just jab one of those in there. We gotta have a certain type of connector. The other thing we have to do is we need to pull this lock out. So you see this blue lock on the side. You can get a flat blade. We're gonna go ahead and yank that thing out. They're still pushed in there and clipped. That just locks them in place. And I think I have some of these over there, so I need to get the lock out. We're gonna go over and make a wire to go in there. Now to make our connection, we're gonna need some of these. These come in like a pack of, I don't know, 20 or so. I'll try to list them in the description. That is the shape. And if you'd like, you can pull one of the other ones out of the fuse block to take a look at it, but pretty typical GM fuse block. You could also go to a wrecking yard and, you know, just yank one out. You need a clip to, obviously you need to pull the lock out, but then you need like a small, technically a paper clip would work to release the lock on the top side and then pull this thing out. But we've got, I chose to go with, what is this? 14 gauge wire from Dorman. Guys, you could probably get away with 16 or maybe even 18. I just chose to go with this. But we need to get this stripped down and connected here. And once we do that, I may put a little heat shrink on it just to make sure we don't have any issues. And we're just gonna push that up into that opening, that third opening I was talking about. You can see my ground wire down there now I was talking about. Got it on there, didn't have any heat shrink that small. We're gonna push this thing through. Now, here's the other thing. You can go ahead and splice 2 wires off this because we're gonna need, this is the power side, by the way. We're gonna catch our ground down here in the spot that was gonna be covered up if I put the bumper on. So that's why I didn't wanna put the bumper on yet. And honestly, we wanna run our wires along this stuff too. So, but look, you could splice right here and make 2 wires because we're gonna have to have, obviously we have 2 fog lights, you're gonna need 2 wires. However, you could save some wire, go down a little lower, do it down there. Makes a little more sense to me to maybe splice it, you know, maybe under the computer where it needs to be spliced. And then we can, you know, run to the passenger side and the driver's side. But either way, I'm gonna go ahead and push this thing in here, get this thing back together, and we are completely done with the box. We can then flip this back down into place and continue our progress. Now, because I'm a weirdo, I've got it pushed in there. It's seated like it's supposed to be. You'll see it right there. I'm going to cut the zip tie here and re-zip tie this to the factory loom. Now, I may not get, I may wrap it and tape until I get to the point where it is with the other loom, and then I'm not gonna try to bust open that loom and chase it all the way down there. I'm just gonna use a separate piece for this guy to run down and look really nice. We'll zip tie it to this other one, and then we can, I guess, fold that down. But I do need to put the lock back in. You can see I've got it pushed back down into place. We got our wires coming out for our new electric fans. That's that shiny one that looks real nice. It comes out the opening at the bottom. Nothing pinched or anything. Remember, we're still gonna have to get a relay for the fog lights here, but either way, you can see the wire that comes with the electric fans, that red wire that comes out, that's gonna go here. And on top of this guy, this is how this is powered. But I'm gonna be replacing the loom here. So I'm gonna wait for now to do that, but just a 7mm. And we got everything pinned back in place. I'm not necessarily sure. I actually think it's gonna go on the other side. And then you could see I wrapped the wire for the electric, or I'm getting it all mixed up now, but the fog lights, the red wire that you can see coming out, I wrapped it like the factory did all the way up to where the loom starts. And now I'm gonna put some loom on it. I've got a big long piece that I'm gonna run underneath the, kind of with the E-fan harness, to be real honest with you, or the wiring for it. I think that would look the nicest. So that's what I'm gonna do. Got the new loom on it. I'm following the same path under the computer. So now I need to get, obviously, the wiring for the electric fans hooked up to the actual computer. In order to do that, I need to take the computer out. I'm gonna take the 7mm out that hold the plug in on the end, but there's more to it than that. And I would like to chase the factory loom on that. Whether I will or not, I don't know, but I'm sure gonna try. But in order to do that, I need to snap this off and I need to clean this up anyway. So I'm gonna spend a little time cleaning, but the next thing you'll see is I'll have these two, there's a right and a left, or I think they're green and blue. We'll have those out with the 7mm. It's just like taking this out. They're kind of, it's like a spring-loaded 7. Now that we got the computer out, Need to kind of swing these up here. And we're gonna have to take the clips out of both of them because, guys, we're gonna have to get to the blue and the green. What's funny is there's a blue and a green wire that go into this. The green wire goes to the blue connector, and the blue wire goes to the green connector. Leave it to GM to do something dumb like that. But we need to, I generally like to use a pick, and if you pry in here, you can get these clips out. So you can see they have like lines on them, like 4 little lines. If you go in a little ways, if you use a small flat blade or a pick and push those in, we can release those clips without breaking them, because I like to keep it as stock as possible. But you got to do that in 5 different spots in order to get these things out of place. Once you do that, that'll give us access to seeing the number that we need to correspond with, because these have numbers on them. We'll probably have to clean it off a little bit. And then we're also going to have to take the locks off, which are the blue or the green. But we're not going to worry about that just yet, because we don't want to take them both off. You only have to take one off on each side. So we don't need to take them both off. We don't have to. It's probably going to be really hard to see this, but on the back side of these, once you get those off, you can see there's numbers on there. And so what we're looking for is on the blue connector. Let's see, we need pin number 42. And on the green connector, we need pin number 33. There shouldn't be anything in those areas, okay? However, I know I'm gonna have to extend my wires, but in order to push them through, we are gonna have to drag these off. So I'm gonna find the corresponding number I need, and then whatever side that's on, we're gonna use a pick and we're gonna pry against this, take this lock off, and then we're going to put a little bit of, actually I generally just kind of get it wet with whatever I've got close, and kind of use that as lube to push it through, because sometimes it's kind of snug. The other thing you can do is use a pick and push through it first. That makes it it kind of loosens it up as well. So I'm going to pull these off, and then I'll show you once I get that accomplished. I think I'll go ahead and push them through and extend it if I need to, which I'm almost positive I'm going to have to. Totally lied to you guys. It's really confusing to me that the blue wire goes in the green connector and the green wire goes in the blue connector. I don't know why, but it just throws me off. And the instructions are like C2. C2 means the green connector, C1 means the blue connector. Why can't they just call them green and blue? But either way, I have one of the pins installed here, and I have it installed in the green connector, and it's pin 33. The blue wire of this kit goes in pin 33, okay? Depending on what you're using, it may be a different color, but that's the color that it is. Now I need to put our green connector back on, or our lock back in place. You can see my wire running in there. And so now I can go ahead and snap that back on, and then we can go over to the blue connector, get number 42 on it, take this blue lock off, push it through, and we'll be finished with that, other than, you know, tidying it up and hiding it in the wire loom. You can see I've got everything kind of tidied up here. Let me see if I can turn my light back on. There we go. Ran that wire in. You can only see the blue wire for just a second, and then I just wrapped this in tape as opposed to trying to redo that. Now we do need to plug that in, remember, right here. I'm surprised we had enough room, but we did. But we need to get this plugged in. This is the piece that snaps to the bottom of the box, and then we should be good to go ahead and, well, I need to clean the box, but put it back in place. Obviously, we need to put the computer back in place. Guys, one thing I will tell you is a lot of times these stick to the computer. Those actually go in what we were just messing with. So they go in this piece here around the ledges, but a lot of times they'll stick to the computer. So I need to clean those up and put those back in, but we're set to get the computer back in, the box back in place. The only things we're gonna have to hook up is obviously this and the power wire that I've got folded over that was originally here with the 7mm. Got the computer cover back on, I got the box back on, and we've got the wires down here that we need to mess with next. So, look, the original fans, okay, so electric fans, they actually ground on the passenger side, kind of up on the radiator support or the core support. And I'm going to show you where I'm going to be grounding it at that point. Look, we could put it here probably, but I figure we'll just, we'll grab another ground on the other side or something. I don't know. See, there's not a ground on this side of the frame horn, but there is here. I am, however, going to go ahead, take this 10mm bolt out, and I'm going to start a ground, 2 wires for grounds for my fog lights. Okay, so our fog lights are going to kind of be in this area right here. So you can see we got ample red wire that we ran out, but we're also going to need, obviously, another wire to go to the other side. So I'm going to patch all that stuff in, just using the same 14 gauge wire, and I'm going to kind of loosely loop a piece over. I'm going to run it along that bar. You see that wiring that's on that bar? I'm going to run it across that and then out to the other side, giving myself enough pigtail to, you know, put the ends on when we're ready for that. I've got my wire kind of looped out here, unrolled, just enough to get to the other side fog light here, and then I got a short ground to come out. So I'd like to ground them at the same spot, but before I do that, I took that 10mm out. I'm going to clean up this mounting surface with my wire brush on my drill, just to make sure we have a good connection. Look how good that looks in just a couple seconds of going over it. So we know we got a good connection now. Now I'm just gonna put an eyelet on our ground and put all my red wire in loom and the black wire in the same loom to go to the other side. And like I said, I'm gonna tie to this factory piece here and just zip tie around that and go to the other side. Here's what we've got. I've got the 2 grounds tied in, loomed up. And then I ran a ground and a power wire down, like I said I was going to, in the loom, and you can see them popped out right there. Now I have a bunch of excess on there because I'm not really sure how much pigtail is going to come on our plugs. They're supposed to be here today. I'll list those in the description down below because we're making our own harness. And guys, come to find out, I'll list it in the description, but Amazon makes a, Amazon doesn't make it, but somebody makes a harness that they list on Amazon that kind of does some of this work for you. The downside is, you know, you're gonna have to deal with excess if there's extra wire. But the next thing we need to do, and actually the last thing we need to do before we start to like put the front bumper on, which is how this whole process started, is we need to ground the fans, okay? I'm gonna try to show you up in there where I think I'm going to be grounding them. And you can do the same if you'd like. We'll just have to test it. If it doesn't work, we may have to move it. I think it will though, because it's tied to the radiator support on the backside. All right, when you're on the passenger side over here, if you look up, there's a couple grounds right there on that bracket. I don't know if you guys see that bracket right there. There's 2 10mm, and that is where I'm planning on grounding this thing. I don't see any other spot that looks any better. I mean, I guess you could technically take the horn off and you could ground it there if you wanted. That may be easier to reach for me. I'm gonna clean it off just like I did with the wire wheel on the other piece. But let's see if we can get it grounded either there or with the horn. Got it grounded up there. You can see I came up under the horn. I started to use the horn, but I didn't like that. So I did use that spot up there. And the reason I did that, loop the wire up like that, is because I got a ton of extra. So I'm gonna go ahead, zip tie this, and guys, we should be ready to get onto the bumper. I'm gonna zip tie all this loose wire up. It's getting exciting. Even though it's cracked and we need a new one, I am gonna go ahead and put this back in place. I did clean up the bolts and I power washed this, but it does have some cracks in it. I think these are 18s or 15s, I can't remember. I'll go grab it here in a second, but like I said, I'm gonna try to source another one, but this can be changed with the bumper on. I just figured we'd put it on here while we had the bumper apart. Go ahead and get these snug down. Next, we're gonna put this in place. Took this off and power washed it too. Now it goes in place with just push clips. I have to get my light over here though, because I can't see a thing. And not that it matters, but I did have to move my outside temperature sensor. That's this here. It goes on the back side of this. I don't know that it necessarily matters, but I did buy new clips here because the old ones were broken. And then this clips up underneath like that. Same thing on the other side. I don't know if they're supposed to be, I think they're supposed to be bent a certain way. but that's the natural position it was at, so we're gonna leave it. Now let's grab some brackets and see if we can get those in place next. Now, I don't remember which way this goes. I think this goes down, I'm pretty sure. And I'm gonna start this. I painted these bolts, and obviously I painted all the brackets as well, but I labeled them all on the cardboard I painted them in. I had to clean up those threads. Probably got a little paint in them. Ooh, those are tight. I wouldn't have thought painting them would have done that much, but let me go check and make sure these are the right ones. Yeah, that was definitely my issue. Just had the wrong bolts. Now we got it correct. I gotta put, this should point down. Now I know that this is the correct side and it won't go on any other way. So that this little cathedral window, I guess you'd call it, points down. And like I said, I'm gonna leave them somewhat loose. I'll probably tighten them up a little more than that. I'm gonna do the same on the other side real quick. Next thing we're gonna put on here is the inner bumper bracket. These are the ones that we originally accessed from up above, like when we took the grill out. We're just gonna loosely put them in on both sides. These brackets, like I said, are side specific, so we kind of need to put them in that way, right? But we have some movement side to side. I'm gonna put the other one in, and then this last bracket, man, I don't remember, but I'm pretty sure it goes in like this to grab the corner of that bumper. And the bolts for it are 15 millimeter. I believe it goes kind of like this. It's all off memory, I guess. It's been a couple days. And I'm gonna leave it loose too. So we can have some back and forth once we get the bumper. Ooh, I don't know if I need it that loose. Maybe we'll tighten it up a little bit. I still need to be able to move it back and forth, but I don't want it to fall over on me. We're gonna attempt to set the bumper around the brackets. And look, you may want to do it the other way, put the brackets on first. I don't know. Maybe I'm doing this all wrong. I can tell you for one, my brackets are off. That's okay. We can deal with that. I'm gonna go ahead and grab a couple bolts. See if we can get it started. Go from there. We'll start with these two wheels. Maybe I'm not. There, I got one started. Let's see if we can get this one started. That one started. Maybe the bumper will hang there now. That'd be nice. Now these line up here. Okay, that's good. And if you're wondering, like, why didn't you put the cap on yet? Well, I'd like for this bumper to be stationary before I go slamming a cap on here. I think I've got that bracket upside down. That doesn't make sense though. Because there's a bolt that goes here and there's nothing to hook it to. Here's what I do know. Middle ones, I think we're good. right either. What if I put those on upside down? No, we're gonna have to do some, I'm gonna have to look at the old one. I'm sure some of you are seeing it. It's upside down. How stupid. Like, none of my brackets are fitting right. I just can't figure this out. Well, what a dummy. What a dummy. All right, let me flip this thing back over and we'll start those bolts back in. You can see now, once it's right side up, looks pretty good. I think we've got a little fall here that we can adjust. You know how these bumpers like to do on these cat eyes, but what I did was I went ahead and snugged all the bolts that we're getting ready to cover up down. Those are snug. It looks good side to side, but I'm gonna leave that tightening this up, this guy here, until we get a little closer to finishing up. So I think, like I said, I think I can kind of tweak that up a little bit and adjust it and make it set flush. But I'm gonna go grab the piece, the top cap, and guys, I'm really hoping I can snap that on without screwing something up. You know, the crazy thing about this is it only hooks on the bottom and those clips. Everywhere else is just, I guess it just sets. So, let's see if we can get it lined up. I don't know if the front is the easiest to line up and then work our way down to each side. I think that's probably the play here. It's gonna be tough, I can tell you that much. Yeah. I don't know, guys. This may be easier said than done. Doesn't want to snap into that first opening in the paint. I cracked the paint right there, just doing what I did. Let's see about the side, if we can. Oh, maybe we don't want to do that. Sure, I have to get a flashlight and get underneath it, I think. Look up in there and see what we're dealing with. Dadgummit, I wish I... Generally you pop these in, and so because you pop them in, you have to get a little rough with them. Good flashlight. So I'm actually getting it in there by putting my hand back behind and feeling where those clips are and working my way down. So it's going. It's just taking its sweet, sweet time here. Woo! It's a tight fit. So you hear that? That's one going in there. Here's another. Another. I think there's a clip in the front corner. Wow. Who'd have ever thought it'd have been this bad? I'm really bummed that I cracked the paint in the front. may have to run a license plate on this one, which is technically the correct thing to do in Missouri anyway, guys, but I generally don't. It's not terrible. I'm just really bent out of shape. I did that. Should have taken a little more time here. This one right here seems like it's a little off too. I'm gonna get a mirror and look back there, but take your time here. Make sure that it's going the way it's supposed to. If you need to get a mirror, I still think this is easy. Can you imagine trying to push this thing on while it was like off the truck? I just don't think you could do it. You could see how much effort I was putting into pushing it on the truck. It's a pain. Well, aside from my little snafu with cracking the paint by knocking around on it, I should have lined those up a little better before I did that, but we've got it in. And what I did was, Cohen was just out here and I had him help me lift up, or I was lifting up on the back while he snugged down these side bolts. Okay, so those arms that come in. And it looks pretty square, to be honest with you. The gap looks good on both sides. It looks equal. So we're gonna continue. I did go ahead and tighten up these bottom ones. So remember, I was leaving those. Those are all snug now. And now all I need to do is go back and tighten the actual bumper brackets where the bracket bolts onto the frame horn. And we should be good to roll on. I'm really bummed, like I said, about that, but not much I can do about it. And like I said, legally in Missouri, you're supposed to run a front plate. So we may just stick a front plate on it. And if I ever get this truck painted, you know, because really the rest of the truck needs painted. If I ever do that, I'll have him just respray this. It just sucks. I went ahead and, you know, skipped me installing the headlights. You guys saw the video on that. I'm also getting ready to put the grill back in. So we can have that all tidied up, and then I guess we will move on to the bottom of the bumper and the valance I got. Now on to the bottom, we need to install these little clips. Remember the ones that I said, hey, make sure and remove those out of the old bumper? You need to do that. However, there's several holes here. I need to make sure, okay, these are, never mind. Those are the fog light holes. So we need to push these things in, these openings right here, all the way around. And then I've got some things to make our fog lights work. So actually, I probably need to wait on those before we go together with the valance. Holy cow, I'm gonna have to have two hands to put some of these in. This is the valance that I chose to go with, and I'll list it in the description as well. But guys, I told you needed to peel these off your old one, and it actually came with them. So you can see we've got 1, 2 on each side. I still have the 10 millimeters that go in there. I'm actually gonna test fit those before I get up under there. But the other thing is we need these, and these are what's gonna push through, okay, these openings right here, and go into those inserts that we just put into the bumper. So I was gonna wait on the fog lights, but I've still got room here. You can see the cutaway in this. That cutaway will allow me to sneak in. It's a similar deal to this, right? So we need those guys in order to put the fog lights in. And as a matter of fact, since I have extras, I can just use those. I'm gonna put those in real quick. I just got to thinking about that. I can use the ones that I pulled out of the old bumper cover to install for the fog lights. I want to show you those inserts I'm talking about. It's the same size as what's on the corners right here, but got those in, and now we'll be able to put our fog lights in, because when you order fog lights, if you're adding them, they do not come with these. So I ordered some of these sleeves like this on Amazon, but honestly guys, I'd rather use the GM ones if I could, so having extra is nice. But now I'm gonna go grab that panel, and I'm just gonna push those pieces through as I go. Got it on there. I will tell you guys that this is an aftermarket piece here. I don't believe I bought a GM piece. But it fits decent. I think it'll relax a little when it gets some heat in it, but you do have to kind of hold the ends in while you're putting the 10 millimeters in the side. It is looking really, really good on the front. So I'm kind of waiting now on the rest of the parts to come in. I've still got to get the pigtails the actual bulbs and the housings for the fog lights to get those installed next. But I'm kind of thinking, guys, we could do something else here, but I may or may not do it. I'm not even gonna say because I'm not sure I wanna do it yet, but we may try something different. Here's what we're gonna do. I'm bored. We still have to do some stuff on the inside in order to make the fog lights work, but until I get them, there's really no sense in doing that. And then to get the fans to work, we're gonna have to use HP tuners to turn that on in the computer. So we'll do that either in this video or in another video, but the main goal for me today is to get the outside looking nice, right? We may or may not finish the other, we'll just have to see. But I'm gonna put the wheels on. I know we're not lowered yet. We've still got a lot of suspension stuff to do. I know I'm gonna have to take them back off, but what the heck. I've got these wheels sold to a buddy, actually a buddy's dad, at least I think. And so I've got it jacked up. We're gonna see if we can get the wheels off. The new wheels on with the adapters. I think it'll at least look, I mean, it's still gonna have a lean, which we'll fix eventually. I got another part for that process, by the way, that'll be in another video. Got those off. It is like really, really close to the ground, guys. I'm using my small jack right now because that's all I got available. Let's go grab our adapters. And you know what? I think, yeah, we'll get the adapters and put those on next. Cam getting me the bolts or the lug nuts out. We have our wheel adapters. They go on here. That's interesting. You know why that will go on there? I'm so dumb. You gotta have the standoffs. The standoffs have to go on, which I have over there. Let me go grab those first. I'm not really sure why I didn't think about this, but we do have to put these on because that's what pushes that front wheel out. So, makes sense, right? This goes on there, which is how the dually sets from the factory. So there's gonna be, how many sets of lug, actual tightening of lug nuts here? There's gonna be 8 on this, 8 for the adapter to this, and then 8 or 10 for the wheel to go on. So there's a total of, what is that, 16 plus 10, so 26 bolts holding the front wheel on. Crazy, absolutely crazy. I think these torque to 140 foot-pounds. I'm gonna double check that. But let me get this started, and I will let you know. I'm not gonna put any Loctite on this right now because this will be coming back apart when we address all the suspension and drop the front of this thing. This is more Travis is just playing. This is probably an incredibly dumb idea. Look at how you have to tighten these. We're gonna go and do the opposite side here. I guess it's not. This is not terrible. Just a lot of extra work that I probably don't need to be doing. Now, in order to torque these, I'm going to thread a couple of my bolts on, or lug nuts, little ways, and I'm going to use this as leverage against it while I'm torquing. So let's see here. On that one and this one. And then we'll go through, we may have to add a couple more and move these. And I'm just gonna go to 140. I couldn't find anything that necessarily said one thing or the other. So let's torque it to 140. I'm gonna probably have to move it to get this bottom one. Wasn't too bad. Now we can add our adapters, which is what I was wanting to do originally. They hit the brake. So if you ever wondered, can you get that wheel to fit on? Absolutely not. You know that dually wheel, those dishes so far back in, that's why you have to have these, that's why the factory had them. These things are not light. And the guy that supplied my wheels also supplied all the nuts and bolts. You're on your own on finding the standoffs, so guys, I had to buy those used. Then I cleaned them up. Let's snug these down and get them to 140. We're gonna do the same situation. We're gonna put a couple of the black ones on and use our pry bar as leverage. It'll be the last time we have to do that though, because once we get the wheel on, we'll be able to set it down and torque the big dogs. Now, for some excitement, I like to pull these stickers off. Probably should have done that before. You guys ever been to a tire shop and they have a big sticker ball? Maybe I need to make those. I need to make one of those as many tires as we go through here. I don't know, guys, if I've got this thing high enough to get this sucker on, but we're gonna give it a shot. They're heavy anyway, so the closer it is to the ground, the better off it is for me. I will say that. Oh, ho, 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 ho. Oh, sick. So sick. He paints these inserts, and so because he paints those, I wonder if I can get my cap on after. Okay, I'm gonna check the cap situation, because I may have to move it around. I'll tell you what, let's just run one down real quick. No way of like centering these. Okay, there it moved. Maybe it does. Huh. Because these aren't beveled. So it's not gonna center, so I'm just trying to get it as centered as possible. I think we're there. Holy cow. I need to go grab my cap though, because I'm not 100% sure if it's gonna go in there. Let's grab the cap. Man, that wheel tucks in way farther. It looked like it was gonna just hang way out. Okay, so the cap really needs to go on after the wheel, but if you're pulling it off, I think it'd be easier to take the wheel off and then pull it off, if that makes sense. He has bent the lip around on these because they won't fit with the adapter if you don't. So the normal cap that you would buy probably would not work, but that looks pretty sick. We're gonna go ahead, get these things ran down, set this thing on the ground, get the wheels torqued to 140. Man, that looks so cool. Even with the front all jacked up and, you know, Cali lean, Carolina squatted, it still looks cool. These wheels, they look pretty cool. we're gonna put our clown hats on. Does these look like clown hats to you?
It looks like birthday party hats.
Birthday party hats, yeah, like a clown one. Dang. We're just gonna, look, like I said, guys, we're still a little ways. For one, dropping these trucks is incredibly expensive. I'm looking at, I mean, I already have the spindles, but to drop one the correct way, and with this one having some miles on it, I want to replace all the bushings and stuff. So it's just, I'm kind of waiting on parts, and I'm saving up for some parts because there's a lot involved. But like I said, I do have a part that we're gonna have to install before we do the drop. That'll be coming in a video very soon, hopefully. Let me get these all installed. Step back and take a look at it. Now, other than the wire dangling down, which we're gonna address here in a little bit, yeah, loving it. I just wish we had the front a little lower, you know, so it didn't look so squatted. But between the new bumpers and the Valance and the front not all beat up, looks pretty crappy over here. All right, we're gonna knock this one out off camera, and then I guess by that time, hopefully my lights will be in. As you can see, my lights came in, the fog lights that is, and they are site specific, so you'll have a right and a left, of course. I went ahead and started some 10mm bolts. Guys, the ones that I ordered they were not long enough. They've got to be pretty long. This is a pretty thick piece. Not only does it have to go through that, but the nut is on the top side, so we've got to have enough to reach that. It's going to be kind of a pain to get to. For some reason, I was thinking it threaded in from the top, but now we're going to have to use, I think, a 10mm ratcheting wrench. I'm going to go over there and get those plugged in. I'm kind of bummed because I wanted to get the wiring first so I wasn't soldering above my head, but hey, I'm not going to complain. I got these. The other stuff's supposed to be here, they say today, but I'm starting to think probably not going to happen. Let's see if we can get these installed next. I got that one in, but I told you guys wrong. Those actual inserts that we put in, the screw actually, look at that light over there. See, the screws are coming in from the top and going towards the light. I told you guys wrong. I was thinking that they threaded up in. They don't. They actually set on the top side of the bumper and thread down. So we need to reverse those. I did that on this side. I got this one in, adjusted a little bit so it kind of fit better in the pocket. Guys, you're not going to get them to line up perfect. It's just not going to happen. They didn't line up perfect from the factory, but we got it in. Obviously, we still got to do some wiring. I got to pop this other one in real quick, but I think once we get the wiring in, I was looking at my gap actually. I just noticed the gap. Let's look at the gap under my light here versus my light there. I actually think that's in the plastic because the molding kicks up there. I don't think the bumper, because the bumper actually, if you look at the very corners, it's square on both sides. That's interesting. I think there's a piece here that'll push down over time. Yeah, it's just how that plastic gets when it sets. That's the downside to plastic parts. You know, you're just never gonna, they're never gonna be like metal parts. But I can deal with that. Doesn't look terrible. Like I said, the gap side to side, this gap and the gap on the other side look really good. Well, I need to not concern myself about that. Let's continue on the fog lights. Look what just got delivered. I've already soldered one of them on, and I've got my new LED fog light bulbs. I'll list those in the description. I just got one that kind of matched the headlights that we put in. They're 6000K or 6000K. Yeah, 6000K. Same matching color. Look, I already soldered our new plug on, but this is what it comes like. It actually comes with butt connectors, but I don't like that. And you could see that I've shortened this one up to get the proper length that we need, not have a bunch hanging around. So I'm gonna go ahead and solder this out. Oh, one other thing I wanna show you that I'm really kind of excited about. This is a heat shrink kit that comes with a ton of heat shrink tubing, and it's like 3-to-1 shrink ratio. So I've needed some of that. I ran out, and it seems like I always use like this size right here. So I generally we'll have 2 months from now, I'll probably have this one empty and the rest of them still full. So I don't know, we'll see. But I'm gonna go ahead, twist this. Let's see if we can twist this light out here. Let's get that guy out of there. Maybe? There it comes. All right. So we should be able to twist that one out. Here's our new one. Hopefully it fits. And it does. Well, I say it does. I have to look back there. Seems like it's, ooh, it's a tight fit. It may go. Well, I'll tell you, there'll be no water coming there. All right, it's in. So now all we gotta do is plug this in. I'll finish up the wiring on the other side. And then guys, we gotta get a relay. Now that we've got all that wired up, we don't even know if they work, right? So there's a couple things we need to do. First of all, we're gonna have to put a relay in here, okay? And that relay, just set this aside for now. That relay goes right here in this opening. So I've actually got one over here. I'm gonna grab and plug in there. But then how are we gonna turn them on, right? We don't have a switch. That's what we're gonna address next. So let me put the relay in and we'll go grab what we need to make happen on the cab. Now you're gonna be seeing some of this tie into another video very soon, but guys, look, the factory did not have, I don't know why my lights aren't working. The factory has this guy here, okay? Now, I sent my switches off, which like I said, this is gonna run in configuration with another video. I ordered a new one of these, sent them to a guy who does the backlight and LED. So I sent him those, which like I said, you'll see in another video, the door handles or the window switches, this, and down the road, we'll probably send him our cluster and HVAC controls. But we need to get this guy out of here. And so I'm gonna go grab a pick and pull this thing out. We just need to release a clip on the inside here. We'll get this thing out of place. And once we do that, all it is plug and play. Now, I didn't really plan on doing it this way, but anyway, this does make your life a little easier. It's really hard to grab these little pins, but you can see our new switch right here. All right. We need to release this little clip in the bottom and this plug, obviously, and there's another clip at the top. So once we release that, that guy will come out. Now I'm gonna let this all hang out because you guys know how I am. I can't just leave this. I'm gonna clean this up and do something different here because that's making me crazy. I thought I had this somewhat clean, but as you can see, all the dust and whatnot. But we got the switch unplugged, and all we have to do is now plug our new switch in. Should be able to do one-handed. And I did. Now, let's turn the truck key on. Turn my light off here. Making me blind. Turn the key on. We got headlights. Cam, tell me if the fog lights down at the bottom come on. They on? No, he doesn't know. He doesn't know what fog lights are. Let's take a look. We got fog lights. Bingo! And all our running lights are working. Perfect. In order to get these fans rocking and bopping, we need to get HP tuners. Guys, if you're not comfortable with this, find a tuner, or you can send your computer directly to them and they can turn this on. It's a relatively easy process, but we need to turn the key on. We need to read the stock file, okay? So we're gonna go to File, Close, because it's already opened on another. And we're gonna go to the little green Read Vehicle. And we're gonna read this thing, if it will read. It should tell you all the parameters that are set in the computer. Let's see if the year's right. 2006 6.0, that's right. Okay, so once this is read, I'm gonna save this file and then we're gonna alter it. I'm not gonna go into how to alter that file because if you guys go back into my 2003 GMC video, I showed the whole process. But I just wanted to show you that, yes, HP Tuners is required to do this, or you're gonna have to have a tuner involved where you send the computer to them or go to them. Now, look, if you go to them, think about this. I mean, your fans are not gonna work until you get this flashed. We've now altered the file. We're flashing it back in, and that should be all there is to it. If you guys wanna test these, you can turn your AC on, And if your AC comes on, your fans come on, then you know it works. I'm gonna test it off camera here. But like I said, guys, if you really want to see more in depth, go back to the video where I did the 03 step side. I'll try to link that in the description down below. I just checked the fans. The fans are indeed working. You can turn them on and off through the scanner of HP tuners. There's a little tab up here with a green circle, and it allows you to go through and do different things while in real time. So you can turn the fan on and off. You can turn the clutch, the AC clutch on, but it is working. And so guys, this is where I'm going to effectively call this video finished. You're going to see some discrepancies between this and another video that I already started on the interior, but it'll make sense when I get to that. So we may be going back in time to start that video. Anyway, we got a lot accomplished in this video. We got the new front painted valance on, or well, bumper cap, the new front bumper, the new lower valance with the fog lights installed. They are working. I showed you guys how to wire that up. Of course, we got the front wheels on, even though it's not dropped yet. We got a lot accomplished in this video, and this truck is really turning out to be a cool truck. And we still got a lot to go on it, and obviously we continually add stuff to the mix. So hopefully you guys are enjoying the dually content. If you are, like always, go down there and smash that thumbs up button. Guys, I will be listing all the stuff that I use in the description down below. So if you're looking to do any of these same things, all that stuff will be underneath the video here with links to get it. Of course, guys, if you are not subscribed, hit the subscribe, ring the bell notification. That will notify you every time we drop a new video on this or anything else. Stay tuned to see what we work on next.